What's up, bros? It's me, Yellow Sock, coming back at you with another lore video. Today we're talking about the Megarachnids, i.e. arachnophobia incarnate. We're gonna start off with their history. Now, we know more about their history than we did with the history of the Rackle, like told by themselves. Well, I mean, they don't speak, so it's not told by themselves, but told to us by a force that isn't the Imperium. But it's still pretty brief and mostly comes from the Imperial side of things. So the Megarachnids first started off as a spacefaring civilization, don't know how, and went to war with the Interrex and super lost and were about to get genocided, but instead got slapped on the planet Murder. The planet's called the Murder, by the way, not to the Interrex, but to the Imperium. Hold on, where am I again? As an act of mercy, it was intended to act as a sort of reservation where they could stay and not be twats to everybody else, and to make sure everybody knew this, the Interrex set up satellites around it to warn everybody not to come to the planet. And a couple years later, the Imperium arrived, landed on the planet, slapped around the Megarachnids in a violent and costly war. Interrex arrived to see who's fucking up their cool reservation. Imperium sees Interrex, loses interest in the spiders like an ADHD kid, and go talk to the Interrex, and then go talk to the Interrex. The end fate of the Megarachnids is never stated. Never really stated. Alright, now I'll move on to their look. Megarachnids have 8 legs, the standard ones, as you're seeing on screen. 4 for running around at the speed of sound, not literally, and 2 for ripping space marines open like they were watermelons. They can do this because they apparently excrete a natural evolutionary metal liquid. Don't know how that happens. Natural metal-like liquid bullshit that hardens around them and forms a sort of shell. For some reason, this metal also auto-sharpens, like it just fucking it gets sharper for no reason, and makes their claws super deadly, like able to cut down the middle of a space marine's pauldron deadly with like no resistance. These guys are wicked in their combat ability, like it's insane, and they also have no eyes apparently. But even though almost all of the art gives them eyes, don't know why. Well, all the unofficial art, that is. But even without eyes, they're apparently too chatly to care about vision and find their prey to rip in half all the same. Because why the fuck not? A lot of the surface of the planet Murder is covered in these weird giant beanstalk plants that I imagine that I imagine is looking like bamboo, and at the base of every single one is this fat purple sack. Beanstalk plant nutsack. The Astartes that first landed made the logical assumption that they were the eggs of the Megarachnids, and immediately started smashing them, but after like kicking them in for literal hours, they decided it just wasn't worth because there were so many, and then just stopped. In the books, it's also stated that a larger and more impressive one grammatical error and my entire focus is ripped apart, like fucking shredded. It's also stated that the larger and more impressive a Megarachnid is, the more important it is. Kind of like how the Imperium works, where the tall people are in charge and everybody else can fucking suck it. The spaceships of the Megarachnids are never shown or seen or talked about, well, aside from the spot where they're mentioned, because by the time the Imperium arrived, they didn't have them anymore. But I'd imagine they'd be claustrophobic, made out of the naturally excreting metal, and have lots of weapons focused around boarding the enemy rather than destroying their ships, because the Megarachnids are more like a hive mind of bugs, kind of like the Tyranids, but not gay. Now, some of you among the audience may be wondering how some big spiders were able to match up to the best of the best that humanity had to offer. Well, I'll tell you. The aforementioned claws, their shells being able to take multiple bolt shells, and their ambush tactics. The Megarachnids were not charging across open fields directly into a line of bolter fire, at least in the beginning of the war. They ambushed and wiped out whole squads of Astartes that their bolters... God damn it, I accidentally skipped a line. They ambushed and wiped out whole squads of Astartes before retreating into the bamboo forest. Space Marines who first experienced the ambushes stated that their bolters were pretty useless because of how fast the engagements were, how fast the Megarachnids were, and how you needed more than one shot to down a Megarachnid with your bolter. So the Marines were literally walking through the forest chopping down bamboo stalk trees with the machetes like they were fucking Rambo or something. I guess now I'll get a little bit more specific about the Megarachnids. you know, after talking about them for literally 5 minutes. First off, their basic warrior form. But basic form varies in size to determine their rank, but they're all still deadly, all the same. I've been talking mostly about them, showing you mostly them on screen, so you should know everything there is to know about them by now. And if you don't, you're fucking slow. Now the flying form, that's where the real interesting stuff begins. The flying form moves so fast its wings are a blur, and its body itself is more of a blur. Well, not really, it's slightly perceptible. They can carry so much weight that they can glide down and swipe literal Astartes with no trouble whatsoever. Morty. And then drop them headfirst into a special spiky tree that I'll expand on later. Whew. Man, talking for so long really do get a young man parched, though. But they don't really need the tree to kill a space marine. They'll just rip them apart midair with their claws that are similar to those of the warriors instead. You know, just like that. There are also bulkier builder forms that are larger, but also have less combat ability. But they can still spit out a rapidly hardening cement-like substance. Nothing much to them. They build. You know, they're playing Minecraft mid-battle, fucking throwing up walls like it's Fortnite, building ramps, cranking 90s. You know, just Megarachnid things. The Megarachnids also are mentioned to have absolutely fucking gigantic Titan-sized forms that were probably used for the same purpose of the Titans, ripping off people's faces on a gigantic scale. That's about all their forms, but I'd imagine they would have also a queen form that would go around the forest with an entourage and lay eggs that go on the stalks of the trees. Now about those trees, the trees I mentioned a couple dozen seconds earlier while talking about the flying forms, the white trees, they have thorns on them. You know, just thorns, you know, just some normal thorns. The flying forms throw fucking space marines onto. These thorns are so sharp and long that they can skewer an Astartes in place. Well, the flying form picks their flesh clean. And what purpose do they have besides this? Besides skewering literal Astartes? You know, just generating a global orbit-to-ground deployment blocking storm that also scrambles Vox going into orbit. Yeah, that compacted with what I said earlier about murder probably illustrates how absolutely awful of an idea it is to invade murder. You know, murder the planet, not... You can't invade murder, it's an idea, it's a word. What are you gonna fucking shoot your bullets at every single word murder? Anyway, that's about all I have. Megarachnids, arachnophobia incarnate. I wish they had a tabletop army. Remember, if you enjoyed the video, comment the video, like the video, rate the video, and subscribe if you want to see videos similar to this one. See ya. Also, again, real quick, comment down below if you're part of the 264 gang. Guys, comment down below if you're part of the 264 gang. Do it now. Do it!